Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the channel, and I'm here for a versus video for you guys. Now, I did bring this up in a stream recently that I wanted to do this versus video, so here we go. So for this video, this will be a band versus video. Now for this video, we're going to be taking a look at two bands, Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath. And so yeah, that's what this video is all about. We're going to talk about both bands, and we're going to find out which band I prefer. Now, I think that Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath do get their comparisons quite a lot considering their similarities. And the funny thing is Led Zeppelin is technically a hard rock band, and Black Sabbath is a metal band, arguably the first heavy metal band to ever come around. Now, I know that there's some people that say Black Sabbath is also classic rock, like Led Zeppelin, but I would also say that Black Sabbath is probably a metal band. But obviously, there's some metal bands and some hard rock bands that can have their similarities, of course. So I figured it would be appropriate to compare the two bands in this video. And like I said, there's some people that do compare these bands a lot. So yeah, so with Led Zeppelin, I mean, they've never released a bad album, I think. Now, I know some people don't like Presence and In Through the Outdoor, but I think those albums are still pretty good and pretty underrated too, for the most part. But yeah, I would say that Led Zeppelin's best material came from their early days, the debut album, Led Zeppelin 2, and even Led Zeppelin 4. Now, the third Led Zeppelin album, I think is good, but it's just not one of their best. But my favorite is actually the first Led Zeppelin album, and my second favorite would be Led Zeppelin 2, the second album. But yeah, with the debut, you got great songs like Good Times, Bad Times, You Shook Me, Dazed and Confused, Communication Breakdown, Your Time Is Gonna Come, and so many others. I mean, just legendary, great songs. So yeah, and of course with Led Zeppelin 2, you got other great songs on there like What Is and What Should Never Be, the Lemon Song, Thank You, Ramble On, and some others. But yeah, definitely a great album. And I do think that the first two Led Zeppelin albums are their best. Now, believe it or not, there was a time where Led Zeppelin 2 was actually one of my least favorite Led Zeppelin albums, but it's grown up to be number 2 for me, just behind the debut album for sure. So yeah, Led Zeppelin, obviously a legendary band. Now, I know some people like to make a big deal about their album Physical Graffiti, and to me that album is slightly overrated, I think. Do I think it's a good album? Yes, but I do think it is kind of overrated, for sure. So yeah, but with Black Sabbath, I mean, they've also had a lot of great material. Master of Reality, Paranoid, Sabotage, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, of course. I mean, especially the Ozzy era, I think is the best. Now, I know the stuff with Dio, a lot of people like to say is the best era of Black Sabbath, but I personally disagree with that. I mean, I think Dio's a really good vocalist. I think he does a really good job. I think what he does very well. But I kind of do think that Dio is kind of an overhyped vocalist. I know that might be blasphemous for some metalheads, but I don't know. I personally don't think he's as great as a lot of metalheads claim him to be. I mean, vocally, that is. Now, again, I think he's a really good vocalist, but one of the best, I personally wouldn't say so. But yeah, I do prefer the stuff with Ozzy nonetheless, especially those first few albums. I mean, a lot of great stuff from the 70s era of Black Sabbath. Even the debut album is still really good, too. Even though that's not my favorite, but it's still a really good album. And arguably the first heavy metal record to ever reach existence, of course. But yeah, my favorite Black Sabbath album would probably be Master of Reality. My second favorite would probably be Paranoid. I mean, those are just classics. You can't go wrong with them. So yeah, so just to get this right out of the way, which band do I prefer, Led Zeppelin or Black Sabbath? Well, I think I would go with Led Zeppelin as the better band here. Now, I know that Black Sabbath has had a more extensive career and a more extensive discography, since Led Zeppelin's career hasn't really lasted that long. They have like about 8 or 9 albums to their name, while Black Sabbath has, years of you know, studio work, of course, you know, decades of studio work, that is. I just returned to Led Zeppelin more than Black Sabbath, to be honest. Now, again, this might be blasphemous for some metalheads that, you know, I choose Led Zeppelin over Black Sabbath, but hey, it is what it is. I mean, I dig classic rock. What can I say? I mean, I do think Robert Plant has a really good voice in Led Zeppelin, of course, and I mean, again, Led Zeppelin, they've never released a bad album, and that's something that I can't really say about Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath has had a few missteps here and there. Now, I think most of their work is good, but they have had a few missteps within their career, and that's something that kind of gives Led Zeppelin the upper hand. And I don't know, I just appreciate Led Zeppelin more. I think musically, I prefer Led Zeppelin in pretty much everything. I pretty much like everything about Led Zeppelin more than Black Sabbath, pretty much. Now, again, I know that Black Sabbath has had a more extensive discography and career, but honestly, that doesn't stop my answer from being Led Zeppelin. So, there you have it. I do prefer Led Zeppelin over Black Sabbath, but still, even though that is the case, I still think Black Sabbath is a pretty good band. They're not one of my favorite bands or anything, but I do think they're a really good band, for sure. So, yeah, I gotta go with Led Zeppelin here. Definitely a great band, legends in hard rock. So there you have it, guys. That is my versus video. Let me know which one you prefer, Led Zeppelin or Black Sabbath. Feel free to let me know in the comments. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think of my answer. On that note, thanks for watching, have a nice day, and take care.